Another month, another mail call. I'm very excited about these new coins, and probably you should like them. So let's have a look. If you have watched my video on how to get started on Ancientcoins, you might have seen that I commonly stress on resisting the beginner's urge once you start collecting to get the maximum number of coins with your available budget, and actually take your time and collect the very best coins of a type you can afford. Well, when I first started out, I did not know about this very good piece of advice. So as I later built up my collection with nicer coins, I ended up with this split between coins I really enjoyed having and other coins that just fill the spot, but weren't really a match to the kind of collection I was making. So this is the objective of this recent purchase, to upgrade on worse coins with better quality pieces that give my collection more cohesion. As I showed the new pieces, I'll also compare them against the older coins they are replacing. So let's hop right into it. And we start by a complete nobody of an emperor most of you have never heard of. Numerian was emperor between 283 and 284, and frankly the man did not do much. It is one of these kinds of emperors you don't care a whole lot about, but if you are a completist like I am, you just accept the fact that he was rectified by the Roman Senate, so you have to add the man to the collection if you want to have a full timeline. His coinage is a little bit underwhelming. It's a very typical late 3rd century Antoninianus, and they are generally a little bit scarce due to the fact the man was only striking coins for 1 year, so I could not get a very high grade piece, but a very fine example like this one has all of the details, very clear legends, and what I quite like is that it features the god Mercury on the reverse. Mercury was the god of commerce, and curiously enough, he doesn't show up very often on coins. This coin is replacing this other one, which was among one of my very first purchase on a coin lot. I was actually lucky to get a Numerian Scarce Emperor on a coin lot, but as you can see, this example simply isn't very nice. It is good enough for a beginner collector, but as you advance on your collection, it is just normal that your taste gets a little bit more refined. And we move forward from a complete nobody to a major hero of the Roman Empire. This is Aurelian, pretty much the man whose reign marked the beginning of the end of the crisis of the 3rd century. His coins are actually quite abundant, and you should not have to pay a whole lot for a coin of this condition, which is really nice. I just love this one. The strike is very strong and sharp. You can make out the little details on his armor and his bust, and the remaining silvering on it gives it a nice little contrast between the patina and the lighter tones from the silvering. On the reverse, we have this nice image of the god Sol stepping on 2 captives. This coin will replace this fully silvered example of Aurelian. I'm actually not going to get rid of this coin. I like the different type and also the fact it nearly has all of its silvering intact. The only fact that made me go shopping for another showpiece was that since the silvering is intact but slightly worn on the high patches, this makes the coin slightly hard to read. But that's still a very nice piece, and it still has a nice place in my collection. Next, we go to Aurelian's successor, the Emperor Probus. Probus was quite a competent ruler, although he's not very well known, and I recommend everyone who's interested in collecting Roman coins to take a look on his pieces, as he has a series of very diverse bust types. You can make an entire type set just of Probus coins, with different types of armor, consular robes, plain busts. It's really diverse and it's full of varieties, and it won't break the bank. So why did I pick this one? Well, this is among some of the most sought after military bust types of Probus. Probus is shown completely geared up for battle. You can see his shield, very detailed scale armor, he's carrying a spear, and even the radiated crown, typical of these coins, has been adapted into a crested helmet. The reverse is slightly harder to read due to the silvering being partly worn out, but we can see the Emperor on horseback raising his hands on a greeting gesture, and the very rude horse is stepping on a captive. The piece it replaces will also be kept in my collection. It's a pretty typical example of Probus, although a bit of wear and the partial silver makes it a little bit harder to read. I like his coinage, and this coin is still quite nice and I'm still attached to it, so for now, it will stay. And on the last mail call, I picked up a coin of the infant emperor Geta. I'm really sorry to scare off poor Geta, but I've also purchased a coin of his brother, Caracalla, one of the most despicable characters to ever wear the Roman purple. Although in this coin, we're greeted by a 12-year-old little boy. So why did I get it? Well, apart from a minor flank crack, the condition and the style of this denarius, in my opinion, is impeccable. Caracalla is very well made, and I, for the most part, appreciate a well-sculpted portrait on my coins first. So I just fell in love with the style of this coin. On the reverse, which is slightly offset, but I will forgive it, we see once again Sol, holding a spear and the world in his hands. There's also a very nice patina on the silver, which gives it this slightly darker tone and highlights the details of the coin. The piece it replaces is this somewhat clipped denarius, but it's still quite a good looking piece with readable legends and an acceptable portrait. And it's actually one of the most abundant denarii out there. So for a beginner out there, of you guys who's interested in getting into Roman Imperial coins, and particularly silver coins, this is the kind of denarius that gives you lots of history and great artistry for cheap. If you go for the early 3rd century, you can't go wrong. I'll quote once again what I said on that video. Even if you're starting out and you want to buy every single coin that gets in front of you, remember before making a purchase to stop and think, in 10 years from now, once I have a big and wonderful collection of coins, will I look at this coin and say it still belongs to this great collection? If it does not, I would say let the coin go, because the bad taste of a coin of lower quality or a coin that won't fit on your collection lingers for much longer than the good taste of getting a bargain. So I hope you all like the new coins, leave a like to help the channel, and see you all soon.